Really think about like what can you do to connect with someone to make them feel absolutely seen and loved, because most of the time it doesn't cost money.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Something New show. This is our special Valentine's Day edition. This is Jordan and Mindi Linscomb, and we're so honored to have you here with us.
Yes, thank you guys for being here.
Hey, so today we're going to jump into a little bit of the history of Valentine's Day, a little bit of our story and how I proposed on February 14th. And then for you as working parents and busy couples, how can you make Valentine's Day special, as well as making it special for your kids if you have some as well too. So we're going to jump right in.
Is it too early to say I don't do the whole buy all the Easter baskets and Valentine's Day baskets? I'm just going there. I'm like, I think there's ways to make kids feel special without spending hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, we celebrate each of the holidays, but we definitely don't buy all the like commercialized,
Oh my gosh, it's become a thing.
trinkets and things every time. So we'll jump into some other ways to make things special as well too. I think we have a few grandparents that help like fill in
the
some
gaps.
of those traditional things for the kids
Like
sometimes.
stuffed animals that I feel like I have to keep bringing to Goodwill because there's so many. Okay, so anyways, what's the history of Valentine's?
Yeah, because we're recording this like just, a couple days before. But Saint Valentine, he was a Christian martyr who lived in the 3rd century during the reign of Roman Emperor Claudius II. His exact identity is somewhat unclear because multiple Valentines were martyred around the same time. But the most widely accepted story suggests that he was a priest or possibly a bishop in Rome. According to legend, Valentine defied Emperor Claudius II's ban on soldiers marrying because he was secretly performing Christian weddings for people. He was also said to have...
He was a matchmaker.
Yes,
he was Bumble.
He was helping
1.0.
love flourish back in the day. So he was also said to have aided persecuted Christians, which led to his arrest. While in prison, he reportedly healed the blind daughter of his jailer before his execution on February 14th, and he left her a note signed, "Your Valentine," a phrase that inspired the modern tradition of Valentine's Day. Valentine was executed around 269 AD, and his feast day, February 14th, became associated with romantic love in the Middle Ages, particularly through the writings of Geoffrey Chaucer, and today St. Valentine is considered to be the patron saint of lovers. So that's a brief history of it.
I feel like there's always been so much pressure too on Valentine's Day to be like, identify who your crush is. And, back when we were in school and even our kids today, it's like, okay, are they gonna, like, our 10-year-old got asked to be someone's Valentine, and what does that mean? Does he have to bring her a card or balloons or a stuffed animal or whatever? I'm just saying there's just a lot of pressure, and I hate that personally.
Do you remember bringing the Valentines or the ones you bought at the store that you'd like, the perforated ones you'd punch out and bring to classmates?
we still buy them
Yeah.
for our children in elementary school. And I'm not saying it's not bad to celebrate love. It's just kind of maybe some of the practices in which we show it aren't as meaningful as what I would hope.
Yeah, it's turned into a thing for sure. So we recognize there's people that are huge fans, go all out, and then there's some people who are like, oh my goodness, I want my spouse or my person to just show me that they care about me, year round, or in little drops in the bucket throughout the year.
Why is it on one day? And I actually don't like going to restaurants on Valentine's Day. It's overcrowded. You have a long wait. Prices are inflated. I'd rather go to breakfast a few days later or before.
Yeah. So we'll get to that in a few.
Am I just being a little grumpy pants about Valentine's Day?
You are. But I would say in general, you and I, can we agree we're big fans of brunch dates or breakfast dates?
We definitely are.
Yeah.
And like I said, I love the premise, and I love the saint and what he stands for, and all of the what it's about. Celebrating love is important, and I love to make people feel loved as well. So it's not just the receiving. Like, I think about how many people can I make feel loved, and it's just a reminder on the calendar to like, hey, have I checked in and made the people I love feel loved? But I just am a little bit antagonistic about how it looks and what it has to check a box to do, because it's not always even real.
A little bit? Just a little bit?
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. Okay. So, hey, let's jump back in time to 2003. You and I started dating November 2003. Mm-hmm. Fast forward, Valentine's of 2005, I was getting ready to propose. It was long overdue in your mind. In my head, it was just the perfect timing. And
Yep, I was hoping we would have been engaged by then.
so your dad and I, we had a fun moment because prior to that, so we were talking like December '04. He and I, you and your mom, was there anybody else with us?
Nope.
We drove from Michigan over to Chicago with plans to go to like Miracle Mile, hang out in downtown Chicago. But your dad and I were going to go to the stockyards and see this historic part of Chicago. And
I knew it was fake all along.
Really? You didn't act like it that day. So we dropped off you and your mom.
Yep.
We're going to go shopping. We were going to go see some other sites. And we actually bolted an hour and a half west of Chicago, went to Rockford where you grew up, and looked at rings with a trusted jeweler that your family knew and appreciated. So looked at it, found like the diamond, the rock, slept on it a little bit, and then called the guy back, shortly later and pulled the trigger, got the ring. So
Which you did do a really good job with the ring.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yes.
It's recorded here for everybody to hear.
Yes.
So the February 2005, I clearly remember the day that the ring arrived, like certified mail, comes out here to Colorado. I remember I pulled off of I-25 at what used to be a rest area and like opened the box for the first time, and it's just like glowing and blinging at me. Super cool moment. Every time I drive by, I think about that quick pullover. So I was just getting ready to host an epic date and pop the question. After you and I knew each other really well, had prayed about it, had talked with trusted friends and family, and it was obvious it was going to be the best decision of my life, right? So I picked you up from the house you were living at with some other girls. I read you poetry in Spanish on the curbside. We got in the car. We went to dinner at a restaurant here in town, and then we
went to the Sunbird, right?
Yep, we went to Sunbird Restaurant,
which ended up being where we had our reception.
We had our reception with epic views, friends and family.
Yep,
and that was a cool moment. Then I had to kill a little time because we had dessert on a certain schedule at the Broadmoor Hotel and Resort, but there was some time in between. So I took you to the Garden of the Gods, outdoor area, and then we danced to Harry Connick Jr. music in the parking lot, I guess in the moonlight. I don't recall. Mm-hmm. And then we worked our way around, went to the Broadmoor for dessert, walked out to the bridge over the pond, over the lake there, and then I sang to you, and then I got down on one knee and popped the question right there on the bridge. So that's...
And you're leaving out the best part to me was how much ahead you had thought. So it was Valentine's Day. So after you proposed, which was super fun, and I loved my ring, and it was in the prettiest place in Colorado Springs. But you also had a couple gifts for me. You had...
this was epic.
You had a wedding planner binder. They used to sell them at Barnes & Noble. This was pre the Knot or pre any sort of wedding planning virtual assistance. There's no Pinterest or anything. So I had a wedding planning binder you had bought for me. It was awesome. You had a calling card to call internationally because one of my best friends was living in Costa Rica, and you knew I would want to call her to tell her congratulations. But at that time, cell phones couldn't call. You had to go to a landline and use a calling card to call someone internationally. We're really aging ourselves here. And so we used a calling card to call her and tell her we were engaged. And that was wrapped up. And you had bought U2 tickets because it was Valentine's for us to go to see U2. And we love going to concerts. But what was fun about it is I had gotten you Valentine's Day present, and it was also U2 tickets. And so your lucky roommate at the time got to have 2 free tickets because we had 4 for the same night. But
looking back, we should have just gone twice because it was such a good concert.
But it was the same night. That's why we didn't. So anyways, it was just, we could have sold them or something.
I think they were different nights. We just had something else on the calendar. We should have changed our plans.
And gone twice. Yeah. Okay. But still, I thought that you had really thought ahead. And to be clear, the reason why I felt like our dating time was so long was because we had been friends for so many years prior to our dating. So by the time we started dating, it was just like, okay, we already both know this is heading somewhere. So it wasn't so much that would be long in a traditional sense to date 18 months. Like we dated a year and a half when we got engaged, but it was all the years of being friends prior to dating. So I just want to tell people hey, if you've been friends with somebody for a very long time, I can think of some people listening today that they've been friends with somebody for a very long time. It doesn't mean that you need to have a forever long dating relationship because you probably know each other really well. So that's the only place I was coming from is that we already had pretty much known by the time we started dating that this was the one.
First week I met you in 2000 to our wedding date, 5 years.
Yeah.
We've known each other.
And spending time with each other's families,
Yep.
lots of different settings. We had traveled on school trips and done jobs and different things that we had, seen each other in many contexts,
Right.
not just on a date.
And I think that's what we've told people is like, if you think you really love this person, have you experienced like amazing moments, stressful moments, like suffering moments when things are going chaotic? And you and I had been through the gamut, in group settings or projects or volunteer trips with other folks. So we knew each other really well, which was a great move. So, yeah. So again, that's a bit of our story. There's lots of proposals that are going to happen. They happen every year. It's part of what
20 years ago.
Yeah.
That's when you proposed 20 years ago.
It's a big one. And it's really fun now when we go to the Broadmoor with our kids. We do a fashion show there every year for something new, bridal and formal wear. But it's fun to walk through with the kids and say, what's so special about this spot? And they always know.
And what's also really cool, I don't know, maybe it's just the hardworking, entrepreneur side of me, is like when we went to the Broadmoor 20 years ago, we could only afford to get dessert.
Yep. And that was true. We were both teachers.
I was struggling financially. I'm just saying, I was going to grad school. Every extra penny I had was going towards, getting my education.
Yep. I was a substitute teacher.
And selling ads for the Hispanic Yellow Pages.
I was.
You were doing that as well. So I'm just saying we were really scraping by. So it's kind of cool. I don't know if anybody listening has ever just been able to pause and look back and reflect and be like, wow, we are so blessed to see how far we've come that now we can actually eat dinner at the Broadmoor if we wanted to. But, I'm really grateful for, all those seasons because they made me really appreciate what we have now.
For sure. And I remember around that season, we talked like, how many kids would you want to have? And I remember the moment, parked at the apartment complex where I lived. And we both agreed on 4. We felt like that was good. It wasn't much of a discussion. We both kind of had the same number in mind. And then fast forward, here we are now, working parents, all these years later. Our oldest about to be 15. So let's talk a little bit about fun ideas for working couples. And this will be quick, but it's not always easy and perfect like in the movies and easy to find a sitter. And I think for us, more often than not, let's just be clear, we have not gone out on Valentine's.
I can't even think of once.
we have a few.
No, but honestly.
No, I took you to Denver, but this was pre-kids.
I was like, since we've had kids, have we ever gone out on Valentine's? I honestly don't think we have in 15 years.
Yeah. I mean, one of the last big ones I remember, I took you to a fun restaurant in Denver. Then we went to Avs hockey game. And it was the worst Avs hockey game ever because they lost 9-1. And I spent
But this is pre-kids.
It was pre-kids, or maybe we had a newborn that our parents watched. Yeah.
No, we did not have help. When we were new parents, we did not have help.
Yeah. So let's talk about ideas on how people can make it, out of the ordinary instead of just going to whatever restaurant, right, in their community. So a couple of things is, one, once the kids are in school, if you have the flexibility in your job, go to brunch, go to breakfast. If that doesn't even work, cook breakfast early, bring it, surprise him or her, bring it breakfast in bed.
But we're assuming that it's all quality time. Okay? So this is we're trying to find a date time for people, but I would also like to pause and be like, maybe not everybody's a quality time person. Because to me, it wasn't as much about finding a date on the calendar, but some of the things you've written to me in a letter meant more to me.
Yep.
I was like, okay, that was way more important than the date.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just think as we talk about different pockets of time, sure, let's get creative with when it might fall on the calendar, but let's also maybe just lean a little bit more into what's going to make the people or the person I'm with feel loved. What is their love tank actually?
What fills their bucket?
Yeah. Cause I know there's a love language talk or whatever, but I mean, even just big ideas. What if all that meant something to them was that the dishes were done when they left for work and they don't have to worry about it when they come home? Dinner was put in a crock pot and the most amazing, thoughtful letter was given. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It cost nothing, but it maybe filled a love tank in a way that didn't even come close to planning a date.
Right. So time, energy, putting thought into something, putting words into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for any of the guys out there watching, like now might be a good time to start writing that letter or picking out that card and putting some thought into it versus like the night before, morning of, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
a hundred
totally.
percent. Well, and this is where I think you can loop your kids in too. Okay, so for the husbands listening, I think it's really, really important to say, hey, kids, what are some like love notes we can leave for mommy?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Mm-hmm.
how can they link arms with you so you can show them modeling, modeling thoughtfulness, but like linking up with them and say, let's do it together. But then as a parent, I think we should do that for our kids too.
Yep.
It's like, how can we model thoughtfulness for them? What would be an out of the ordinary thing to do? Like, could we do all their jobs on Valentine's Day and just say, we want to say we love you guys and surprise, you don't have to do any jobs today?
Mm.
Like, what would be a way that we could fill their love tank so that they can see, like, oh, we've been served and we serve? Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I want their spouses to be people that are mindful of them as well, in addition to them being very mindful.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. Yeah. So different acts of service are a way to help clean the garage, you name it. There's a variety of examples of how it could fill someone's bucket. Let's talk a little bit more on like making it special for the kids or even planning ahead. And do you have a superpower? Because in August, I knew you had 90% of our Christmas gifts ready in August before
Wrapped and
this,
put away.
this last Christmas. Like incredible. What would you say to the moms or dads out there who are like, oh gosh, I don't want to be last minute for the school stuff or the parties or the things like, what do you do to stay so far in advance with planning and just making things simple? Like even specifically like carving out time when most people would maybe want to relax or watch TV. Like how do you do what you do to stay so far in advance?
I do a lot of bundling, and what I mean by that is like if I'm gonna spend a day focusing on, let's just say, our family travel for the year, I'm gonna knock out all the travel for the year. Like I'm gonna get all the flights, I'm gonna get all the dates nailed down. I'm gonna buy the tickets for whatever we're attending. But it's like that's the day I'm focusing on travel. If there's doctor's appointments or things like that to be made, like logistics, doctor's hair, whatever, I'm like, I'm going to spend an afternoon and just knock it out for the year. I know that sounds crazy, but we already know that we need to go to the doctor annually. We know that we need to get our eyes checked annually. We know that our kids need haircuts every 8 weeks. Those boys have hair growing so fast. So it's like, we already know these things. So I just spend, it's like a one touch system where I'm like, hey, if I already know I have to do this, I'm going to spend an afternoon just mapping it out for the rest of the year, get it on the calendar. So I already know I got to get Christmas presents, right? So why not do it in August? I guess is what I'm saying. It's like, why not? Because I already know who I got to buy for. It's also typically less expensive of a time of year on your family budget because I feel like groceries in December are insane with a lot of hosting and a lot of extra kids coming over. So I'm like, if I don't have to put the pressure of extra groceries in addition to the presents, it's a lighter lift.
And let's be clear, you did family, teachers, everything like
Yeah.
all at once, right?
Yep, all at once. So I literally bundle any activity that I have, and I don't just go, oh, this week I got to make a hair appointment, and oh, I got to buy flights for like next month, or I don't let that trickle all the time. I literally say, okay, if I have to buy presents, I'm going to buy them all right now for the whole year right now. And then I have a closet, they get wrapped and they get put in the closet, and then we're done. I even buy things like presents for kids' birthday parties, and we have like a little stash. And so I don't have to think on this Saturday if my kid has a birthday party, oh, I have to go get so and so a present. It's like, no, there's a
Yeah.
stash, go grab something.
Grab it.
There's
And-
gift cards. I also buy cards, like greeting cards, birthday cards, whatever. You can buy them in bulk, and it's like a variety of cards, and I get them on Amazon, and so it's a box of different cards. And so I'm not always running to the store for anything. It's just I have a plan of like, okay, we're probably going to need one box of those cards a year. Let's have them in the office. When there's a birthday party, grab a birthday card, grab a present from the stash, and go. So I think bundling has honestly been my major hack. Now, it does mean that sometimes things are on a credit card, like buying flights for like all of the travel this year right now does put it on credit cards sometimes. And you're like, okay, I'm just going to make sure I can pay that off by the end of the month. But then I'll do a mix of like points and payment for flights. But I'm not going to touch it all more than once. Like, I'm just like, let's knock it out.
Yeah. Great. Love it. Yeah. Well, as we jump in, any more you would want to share on helping
the
our
kids.
kids, making a special day for them? Like last year we had, it wasn't flawless, gosh, but we did like a spaghetti dinner. and all sat around as a family, right? We didn't go out. We made like a special Italian dinner and decorated the kitchen table and everything. Not everybody was happy. Like
Nope.
it was a real life kind of day, but we made a memory. So
So here's a couple of things that you can do to make it a memory. I think for kids is like they do remember the little bit of extra effort you make it to look like Valentine's. So I'll go to the dollar store. I'm not joking. I'll go to this dollar store and they have things like paper placemats that are hearts or balloons that are hearts or whatever. And I might just do a couple things. And then this is what's really cool is we'll do it by candlelight. So we'll turn the lights off, light a few candles. I already own them. I didn't spend a lot of money. And I picked an easy dinner because I'm a working mom. I'm like, hey, like you said, spaghetti. I do not prioritize the culinary arts as a working mom. I prioritize their protein, and that's about it. So I'm like, okay, did they have meat or a protein shake? Are we good? I just want to make sure they're getting, the nutrients they need. But as far as like their culinary experience, it's not like I'm trying out new recipes to make them be dazzled by the dinner. So nutrition is more of a priority than it is anything else. And when I would say the spaghetti dinner we did last year, that was convenience. It was like, let's make some meatballs and throw it on some spaghetti. They all loved the food. They didn't love their company. They were fighting, but that's okay. I think that they still have some memories. And like I said, you can do a few little inexpensive things to elevate the meal with candlelight and maybe a decoration or two.
Yep. Sounds good. I a couple times lately too, I think we've both looked at our kids and like literally as a dad, I've just gently
Held their face.
held their face, be like, I just want to remind you, like, I love you so much. I love being your dad. I'm super grateful to be your dad. And like, we believe in you. And that's been on my mind just to remind our kids, like, hey, we believe in you. Like the great things that are happening now and even better things to come. So we just want to encourage parents as well too, like take the time to like speak some words of life into your spouse or others in your life and as well as your kids. So
can I add too, I saw in one of our kids' rooms the other night, like a real crazy, like last minute note I had written them last year of just like some things that I saw in them and I was really encouraged by. And I was like, wow, they kept that. Like it was kind of like, it caught me off guard because it was like a ripped out of a notebook piece of paper, really fast scribble. But I think I left it one morning for them and they still had it. So I was like, okay, noted. It was good feedback for me that more notes really mean something to them. So I'm like, I need to be better at note dropping for them. And I think definitely for Valentine's, this is the perfect time to write our kids a note and to tell them how much we love them and why. Like it's not because of what you do, but it's just because of who you are. We love you for that. And so, yeah, that's going to be on my list this year to write notes for people for Valentine's.
yeah, great. Love it. Hey, well, we trust you got encouraged by some ideas and some practical tips on how you can make Valentine's special for your spouse. If you're working parents, we know life is full and there's a lot going on. But listen, we want to hear from you. What do you do to make Valentine's special? What are your traditions? So comment below on YouTube, or if you're listening, we'd love to hear from you on Instagram. We want to hear different ideas from this community of those watching the Something New show and how we can make Valentine's more and more special for that day and also around the whole year.
And I want to just say the challenge I want to put out there is that it's not to just, check a box. Again, don't do something obligatory because you saw a commercial.
Because then your spouse doesn't know that you spent money and it was like half-hearted, make it sincere, right?
Yeah, I'm like, really think about what can you do to connect with someone to make them feel absolutely seen and loved? Because most of the time it doesn't cost money.
Yep.
That's my challenge.
That's good.
So I hope you guys have a great Valentine's Day, and we'll see you next time on the Something New show. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the show, rate, review, and share with a friend. Also, follow the Something New show on Instagram and Facebook. If you want a fuller experience, watch the show on YouTube to help you create a life worth celebrating.